Welcome to the Shootin' Show. Stand by for shots fired.
Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and welcome to today's program. We have another
Wait a minute, Johnny. We have more and more women watching this show and being involved in the shooting.
That's true.
Yes,
that's true. And we do appreciate all the ladies who watch our program.
Yes, we do. So in honor of that, I'm going to help you host the show today. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Jennifer Hancock, and I will be assisting Johnny in today's show.
Well, Jennifer, since you put it that way, and what can I say, but we're very pleased to have you here with us today, Jennifer.
Thank you very much.
I did not quite realize just how much you wanted to help with the beginning of the program today, but we all certainly know it now. But we do appreciate, that's one thing that we keep talking about. We have to get more women involved in shooting, finding out what this is about. Now you take Jennifer here. Jennifer's a pretty fair shot. She enjoys shooting rifles and handguns and about anything else that she's big enough to pick up. And in fact, we have another great show I'd like to say. And you want to open our program today?
I sure will.
Well, let's do it.
All right. You know, it's a very cold day out here on the range, as you can tell by my attire, but it's still really fun to be out here shooting. And this is a SKS, one of my favorite guns to shoot. And ladies, there's nothing to it. Yes!
Well, Jennifer, it is a cold day, like you said earlier. I notice you're out of your coat now, but
I'm ready for the action, so I had to get where I could move.
well, it even here in northwest Louisiana, we're only about 300 miles from the Gulf Coast, but it is February, and yes, it does get. This time last year, we had an ice storm here that was real bad. Well, anyway, I know. Of course, you like this 9mm pretty well, don't you?
Yes, but my favorite is the 357 Magnum because I can shoot the 38 specials in it.
Well, that's an awfully good point. We have a lot of women out there that are now buying handguns, and we certainly recommend a 38 special, or if you think you're going to want to move up in power, we really do recommend a 357 Magnum. But I tell you something that, a lot of people overlook, Jennifer. This is a little Taurus revolver. It's in 22 Magnum, and I think that the 22 Magnum is a somewhat underrated cartridge, especially with hollow point ammunition. And we do want to qualify that. There are a couple of very fine hollow points out there, the CCIs and Winchester, and this is an 8-shot revolver. In fact, to show you, you ladies that are watching, just to show you how it doesn't kick, why don't you take a few shots over there with this, Jennifer?
Okay.
And watch her hands when she's just going to shoot off to the side there, and watch it. See, just no recoil whatsoever. Go ahead and take another shot or two. Go ahead. That's fine. And you can see that in Jennifer's hands, and of course you're, I would say, an average weight, you're an average size young woman. I mean, you don't have any less strength than the average young woman.
Right.
And this is an option that I think a lot of ladies should consider. This happens to be an 8-shot gun instead of a 6-shot revolver. It's an 8-shot, and really a nice combination. Don't you agree?
Yes, definitely.
Jennifer, I tell you what, like we were talking earlier, we've got to get more women involved, because if Jennifer meets somebody, say my size, in a parking lot or somewhere, if it's just based on physical size, well, Jennifer's going to have a problem wrestling someone, or especially even a smaller person who's on drugs or whatever else. But with one of these handguns, Jennifer is suddenly the equal of anybody's size if she knows how to shoot it well. Don't you agree?
Yes.
So this is something that more and more women are finding out about, and seriously, we have got to get the ladies. One, we need your votes, but you know what? They're going to find out when they come down to the range and they start shooting these guns. It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It's a lot of fun. A lot more fun than you would even imagine, even at this freezing cold temperature with no gloves.
Well, some of you saw Jennifer. She represented a company out in Las Vegas and you were one of the tree stand shower offers.
I sure was, and just like we're showing here today, how easy it is for a woman to shoot the guns as well as a man. I was demonstrating climbing a tree and tree stand. So, you know, there's lots of things in this.
Now, what you're saying is that a woman can also get into hunting.
Sure.
And
sure.
she could actually operate, well, because we saw you do it. We saw you operate that tree stand, climb a tree with it.
Very easily. I mean, if I can do it, anyone can, so. You know, a lot of people are carrying 9mm handguns today, and we're going to demonstrate the difference between Corbin ammunition and regular ammunition, which most people use in their guns. First, we're going to shoot this water bottle with just regular ammunition. As you can see, there's really not much damage done. It's not quite as effective as we would like. So now we're going to shoot this other water bottle with Corbin. Whoa! You can see how much more effective this is between the regular ammunition and the Corbin. If your life's at stake, shouldn't you choose the very best ammunition that money can buy? Corbin, the best there is.
Well, friends, honestly, the weather is so bad here, it actually ran us inside. It was cold out there, and of course now it's raining. We've got a little sleet here, and yes, we are devoted to this program, and yes, we have been, but today we thought we'd finish talking about this little 380 here inside. Now, Jennifer, if you want to go back out there, well,
too cold.
Too cold.
Too rainy, too wet.
Well, I tell you what, you know, it never rains in the oil field, and you're never sick on the shooting show. We never, but
you just come inside.
You just, hey, sometimes even we will come inside. Yes. We were shooting the little KBI 380. In fact, I was out there with it earlier, and this is a nice little package. It's made very much like the Walther that a lot of us are familiar with, and we'll give you a close-up on that. In fact, it's between the size of this little 22 and this Taurus 9mm that Jennifer was shooting on the water bottles a little earlier. And you know, this particular gun functioned very well with full metal jacket ammunition. It did not function as well with some of the hollow points that we tried, but this is something that I think is important. Any sort of semi-automatic, you've got to take it out and see what ammunition it likes. Even my old Colt, which yeah, it's still shooting. It's had a lot of rounds go through it, but even it will occasionally choke on a particular brand of ammunition. So this little KBI example here, it holds 6 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber for a total of 7. Like I said, it works very much like the Walther. I did not take it down. The good folks at Britton's loaned us this gun for testing. Accuracy was pretty good, you know, for what it is, a pocket type pistol. And you could get this in your purse probably.
Sure.
Without any difficulty. But you know what? We want to stress again, this little semi-automatic takes more training, it takes more work to learn to use it. Now, they have to be kept reasonably clean. And for a new shooter, I would not recommend this gun. I'd stick with that revolver for the new shooters. These guns are handy, but they do take more work at learning to use them properly. This little gun is pretty well made. You had some comments you want to make about it.
I do. This really is quite an interesting little gun, and like you said, it is in between the other two. So it's a nice medium-sized gun that you can hold, and sure, it would definitely fit in my purse. My purse is a big bag, so it would fit in there quite easily. But you know, talking about keeping them clean and everything, someone must have went to town on cleaning this thing. It has quite an interesting smell.
Now,
Why don't you tell them what?
Well,
it's a good smell.
It's wintergreen.
It's a good smell.
Actually, it's sort of
peppermint.
Yeah. Now, I can't imagine. Like I said, this is a
scratch and snip.
Well, the good folks at Britton's, like I said, they had just gotten this gun from someone when they loaned it to us, and I don't know what in the world they cleaned it with, but trust me on this one, it'll clean out your sinuses. I don't know. I think maybe they cleaned it with peppermint schnapps or something.
Maybe
I don't know.
So. Multi-purpose gun, I think.
Well, I can't imagine, but we did have, yes, some interesting discussion about why, whatever someone used to clean this little gun. And it turned out pretty clean. You know, like I said, it functioned all right. But whatever it is, it's memorable, huh?
Yes, definitely.
One of the things I will mention on this little gun, when you pull the slide back on an empty chamber, you have to drop the magazine and then let the slide down. Now, that's very much like the Walther. And I don't know how long we're going to have to take it back pretty quick because it is a long gun, but these are very inexpensive as compared to the Walther. And like I said, it functioned real well with full metal jacket ammunition. And remember that a 380 is a shorter 9mm. They run 90, 95 grain bullet in that 80 to 95 or so grain bullet. And the neighborhood out of this little gun is going to run about 900 or so feet per second. It's sort of between, power-wise, this is hard for me to say this inside day without shooting something out there to show. But in the relationship that a 38 Special has to a 357, it's sort of like that, a 380 to a 9mm. It's just not nearly as high pressured around as a 9. This is a blowback gun, and you don't require the more complicated mechanism to operate a 380. Your gun you can get away with a blowback type action on this, whereas on the 9mm, since you're operating it at much higher pressures, such as this little Taurus here has a locked breech situation. So I knew you wanted to know that.
Yes.
Well, and you know, you'd be
Good
surprised. Well, it is good information because a lot of women now are getting into to this sort of thing, and they want to know some of this stuff.
Well, it's like we showed yesterday. I mean, it's very simple to learn these things, and if you just get the right information, you can certainly learn how to shoot a gun. I mean, as I said earlier, if I can shoot it, I know anyone can.
Well,
so
I think if you have reasonable motor skills in your hands and all, and the good news about women actually read the directions. I was talking with someone earlier, and a lot of men are like this. Well, if all else fails, then we'll read the directions. Well, and women are better about reading. Say, well, they'll get a manual out and say, all right, how's this thing work? They won't just go start pushing buttons and pulling levers. They're not, shall we say, as bad about that as men are. So that's a good feature. A lot of women now are buying these small semi-automatics, but at least they will read the manual. If you have one that doesn't have a manual, please go down to your gun shop and ask them. Or you can look in your phone book for a firearms training academy. We have one here in town. A good friend of ours, the Sheriff Terry, has a firearms training institute, and he has taught a tremendous number of people and large numbers of women how to safely defend themselves and how these things operate. And that is so important. Again, my first choice for a new shooter, for certainly a lady who's starting to take up shooting, would be to stay away from the semi-automatics unless you're willing to go out and really learn how the gun works. Try ammunition. This is a gun, the little automatics, you do not want to load it and put it in a drawer and hope that it works 2 or 3 years from now. That's not how to do it. You've got to go out and practice with these. So even though it was so cold out there earlier.
yeah, I was going to say, just make sure you go in a little bit warmer weather.
This is the famous Thunder 5 revolver shooting the .45 Colt cartridge, also the .410 shotgun shell. It's also available in .45-70 and includes some caliber inserts that are optional. And let's get that snake. For information on the Thunder 5, call 1-800-654-0797. Again, that's 1-800-654-0797.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Well, you know, Jennifer, we have made friends with a new company, and I suppose this is carrying glass nose too ridiculous. I never thought that we would be proud of Russian products here on the Shooting Show, but tell you what we've got. And we're going to be testing these. We do not have a test today. We're going to show it to you anyway. This is a pair of night vision or starlight binoculars. And we got these from a company that is importing a lot of different things from Russia. The good news is, you know, in Russia, their economic situation has not been too terrific. I mean, they're selling anything over there that is not bolted down. So you can buy some of the Russian products. These are going to have a very reasonable retail price. This particular set of binoculars, you want to model these for the folks at home there, just sort of, so they'll know what you look like holding up the.
Very light.
They really are. They're not bad for what they are. They amplify light about 30,000 times. Now then, we're talking about light from the stars. That's what it's called, starlight technology. And if the truth is known, probably the Russians captured some of this stuff from our people in Vietnam, probably, and because we have some other night vision stuff they loaned us for testing, and it's real good. Now you can go out in your backyard at night if you live in the country. I mean, you can just see all around. It's just darn near like daylight through these starlight night vision binoculars. We have a scope they sent, which you can shoot pretty good groups out at 100 yards with that scope on a rifle at night. Now that's pretty amazing. Now the rifle scope they sent us is not, shall we say, not inexpensive, but it's still a reasonable price for what it is. It's most interesting. We have a camera attachment. We're going to try and set that up to show you what night vision really does look like. When it says amplifies starlight, what it does, it can use starlight. I understand that these things, even when leaves are decaying, they give off a little heat and a little bit of light, and it even uses that. Pretty amazing stuff, huh, Jennifer?
Very amazing. And I guess this goes along with the little insignia here on the telescope. Is that an owl?
I think that's an owl. That's one of those things that is probably beyond language barriers. I think that's
well,
an
to
owl.
represent, I mean, owls certainly see at night.
That's
so
true. That's true. And another thing they have, and again, we're going to be testing this on the program. This is a spotting scope. It's a tube over tube. This is as long as it gets right there. And it is terrific. It's a 20 by 30 by 50. Now then, if we do have access to these products for our Bullet Express, and they tell us that delivery is going to be real good, if some of you would like to see us offer some night equipment like this, some of the Russian-made products, and this Russian military stuff's pretty good. Now, we hadn't agreed with a lot of stuff that the Russian military did,
but we like their product.
But nobody ever accused their products of not working. I have some friends that were in Vietnam who really did not like to see an AK-47 pointed in their direction, but no one ever accused them of not working. So I would think that they'd be very durable. And that's the good news. This Russian stuff we can get now, we as American consumers can take advantage of. Like I said, they're selling everything that's not bolted down. So at this point, communism it set them back who knows how far, and I'll ask the judge about that a little bit later. But we really have some bargains here. We can get this stuff. If you would like for us to make some of this available through our program, and I tell you what, these night vision binoculars will be great for hunters or who are out trying to locate game. A lot of people get off work, and certainly you can't hunt with these things. I mean, it's against the law to go out there at night and hunt. However, for certain types of varmint hunting, raccoons and things like that, they'd be very handy to look around in the woods, because some people hunt those at night where it's legal, of course. You know, we never advocate breaking the law.
Yeah, right.
Never advocate breaking the law, certainly not. But these would be so handy for something like that. I mean, Jennifer, even you would have some uses for, and Jennifer's not a hunter. I mean, she might start, but I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe you might want to check up on your boyfriend sometime. You know what I'm saying? Now, he seems like a nice fellow, but you can make sure of that.
Yeah, well, so. I think I'll take one of these. In fact, I think I'll take two.
Have you a spare in your car? Well, I'm sure he'll be glad to hear that. Anyway, this is some really neat stuff. Again, if you'd like to see us start offering some of these things, let us know. Give us a call here at the program or drop us a note, because we can get this stuff now at very good prices, and it appears to be, it's a good company, and they offer all kinds of stuff. You want to go to Russia? Jennifer, you want to be our official representative in Russia?
I sure will. When do we leave?
Well, knock me out. Anyway, well, I don't know. You know, Soldier Fortune magazine has a Russian issue now. I don't know how many issues they're going to have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They sent me a copy of it, and it's just, it's, you know, of course I have no clue as far as what the writing is, but it's really entertaining. So we may be learning more about the Russian stuff here. Anyway, back to our 380. This is a gun that I think would be good for anyone that likes small pocket handguns and is willing to take the time and go out and learn to shoot it. I think your impression was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. But definitely, as with any of these guns, and especially something that is as dangerous as these are, if they're not handled right, you definitely need to know what you're doing. You can't, I mean, I certainly couldn't have just gone out there and just started firing away. With the help of Johnny, he showed me how to.
Well, I certainly make every effort. And, of course, Jennifer is exposed to a lot of things that she never had the opportunity to shoot now through the program. And we work very hard to make the operational instructions as simple as possible. And there is no substitute for safety. You know, anything mechanical can be dangerous if it's not operated properly. An electric mixer can be dangerous to someone. You know, if they don't understand how it works, they may put their finger in the little blades there or something.
Well, it's just like you said earlier. It's very important to read the directions, unlike most men.
Well, that's.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
Thank you
kidding. But
very much.
women usually are more apt to read the directions, and that's what we're focusing on. Since more women are getting into the hunting
That's true.
and carrying the guns and the self-defense and whatnot, it is very important to read the directions and just know your machine.
Well, you're exactly right. And anything, just like working or driving an automobile. In fact, an automobile is far more dangerous, can do much more harm than any a firearm I'm aware of that we would have access to at all. So they have to be operated properly and carefully. Now then, someone said one time, well, cars are licensed. Why not guns? Well, I tell you what. Automobiles were not mentioned anywhere in the Constitution. To quote my esteemed colleague, that's really true. The government has no business getting into telling us what sort of basic firearm that we can or cannot have. And when the licensing situation comes along, we've already seen it in some of the big cities where they licensed selected individuals, friends of politicians, things like this, if they're not really watched. So there's a huge difference in licensing an automobile and licensing a gun. The Founding Fathers thought it was important enough to, and I'm sure there were some Founding Mothers back there too. You know, I guess we ought to do a piece on that, huh?
Yeah.
We talk about Founding Fathers. Well, heck, there were some Founding Mothers too. For one thing, all the Founding Fathers wouldn't be here without their
That's right.
Founding Mothers. That's really important. You know, Jennifer, we're talking about women historically in America having guns or shooting guns. Many times on the frontier, when the father or man in the household was gone, well, it might be someone just like you who was there left at home, and there were all sorts. There were marauding animals, there were hostile Indians on occasion, sometimes all sorts of things. And who had to deal with that and protect the home? A lot of those pioneer women could handle firearms extremely well. And we ought to do a piece on that.
We should.
And focus on some of the women who handled and wielded and defended their homes and themselves and their families with guns. I think that's important. You know, Annie Oakley was not the only one, or neither was Calamity Jane. I mean, you had a lot of very decent and fine women who, I've told this story before on the show. My own grandmother, years ago, I mean, the gentlest person on the face of the earth, had to use a small revolver to protect her and her family one time years ago. And so, unfortunately, we have semi-frontier times back in some areas where you're not safe to drive around town in traffic, when you're not safe certainly walking somewhere. We're back to a very horrendous state of affairs as far as the dangers in our society. If you'd like to say something, you can jump in anytime.
Okay.
But I think your attitude has certainly changed since you became more involved in shooting, hasn't it?
It definitely has. It's really increased my awareness of, needing to be protected or whatever. Because there's, sometimes when you're out, like you said, you're out by yourself. There's not going to be someone, your boyfriend or your husband or your dad or whoever is not going to be around with you. So you really need something. I mean, just like you were saying, also in society today, it's just unfortunately taken a turn for the worse. And I know it's considerably dangerous right here where we live. And
Well,
we've been very fortunate, but it's not safe to drive around in your cars. It's not safe to be out, past dark. And in some cities or states, it's not safe to be out at all.
That's true.
So, yeah, I've learned a lot.
well, here in our part, certainly in Louisiana, it's legal to carry a firearm in your car. Some places I understand that it's not, and of course there are some even prohibitive places where in parts of our country where the police will arrest you if you have a firearm in your car. Like we said, we never advocate breaking the law, but fortunately that's one thing that our politicians have seen fit to not give us too much trouble about here. Now, you certainly don't hold a gun up and threaten someone without a just cause or without warrant. And you never do that unless you're, of course, prepared to use the gun if you had to. But we do have some regulation that makes it easy for a citizen here to own and have possession of a firearm. Well, Jennifer, I guess we'll move on to something else. But we did want to make this point about semi-automatics. And again, this little KBI 380 is it's a nice little gun. It appears to be well made. I would want to try several different types of ammunition, test it for reliability. This would be a good candidate for Corbon ammunition because of the power level of the 380. And certainly Corbon makes a 380 into what is much more powerful than a lot of them. Yes.
Definitely. We certainly proved that with the water bottle.
Oh, yeah. This 9mm, a lot of people in the past have just not taken 9mm seriously, and I think that's somewhat of a mistake. But with the Corbon ammunition, a 9mm becomes a very serious defensive handgun. I was talking to a state trooper here the other day, was carrying a 9mm, and I said, well, and they do face, we have the Interstate 20 out here. It's a very well-known drug superhighway. A lot of drugs come down this road, and some of our state policemen are really getting some pretty tough situations. And I suggested to him, we were just talking, and said, hey, if you want your 9 to really be all it can be, get you some Corbon ammunition. And when I think that's where he was headed, to the gun shop, when we stopped our conversation. But anyway, so much for all that. And sort of our indoor lecture / feature for the KBI 380.
Hello, friends. I'm out here practicing for one of the most fun hunting sports that you can imagine. You can use a variety of action types. You have access to year-round hunting, some cases no limits, and you get to use a variety of guns. Well, you know what I'm talking about is a sport of varmint hunting. And we need to introduce you folks to varmint hunting. A lot of us have been doing it for years and didn't know what to call it, but we especially need to introduce you to the Varmint Hunter magazine.
You know, friends, varmint hunting is one of the fastest growing shooting sports in the world. In fact, the Varmint Hunters Association, they have members in all 50 states and 19 foreign countries. Now, their magazine focuses on varmint hunting and super accurate reloading and shooting techniques. Plus, there's a lot of humor, a lot of interesting cartoons and humorous articles in the magazine. Incidentally, the magazine is large, it's very high quality, and something I think you're really going to enjoy reading, and it's published quarterly. It's only $24 for an associate membership in the Varmint Hunters Association. And look, for information, now you ought to do this. If you're a dedicated shooter, this is something I think you're really going to enjoy. For information on the Varmint Hunter magazine and the Varmint Hunters Association, call them at 1-800-528-4868. Again, 1-800-528-4868. Be sure and tell them you saw it on the Shootin' Show. The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Friends, you can communicate with the Shootin' Show on CompuServe now. Our number is 735-42-3024. Again, 735-42-3024. And to join our Shootin' Show Gun Club, call us at 1-800-895-7916. We take Visa, MasterCard, check, money order, whatever you got. Join today, friends. We need to reach as many people as we can. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're so pleased that you can be with us this week. My esteemed colleague, the Honorable Judge, my good friend Leroy Scott here. Sir, you've got some things to tell us this week, I'm sure.
Well, I don't have very much, Johnny. I've mentioned this before, but I want to, repetition kind of carries it. The National Rifle Association has a fax network. So does the Gun Owners of America. They put out faxes every week. The NRA puts one out on Friday evening every week, and it tells you the latest up-to-date news on the gun owner interests. The one that I just got in points out that the NRA has filed a lawsuit in federal court challenging Clinton's gun ban. It's filed in the U.S. District Court in the Eastern District of Michigan. I hope they picked the right venue for it. You've got to be careful where you go. That suit, coupled with their efforts to repeal the gun ban in Congress, is a two-pronged strategy that will hopefully wipe this repressive law from the books. Also, there are some repeal efforts in the House being co-sponsored by Representative Bartlett, Republican of Maryland, Chapman, a Democrat of Texas, Stockman, a Republican of Texas, and incidentally, Tozan, a Democrat of Louisiana.
I was proud of Billy on that. Tozan really, in fact, I think he even considered changing from the Democratic Party to Republican Party.
I heard he'd considered changing, and he's also a possible candidate for governor of Louisiana. No comment on it yet. He was a candidate 4 years ago, as I recall it. Anyhow, if you want to get on the NRA fax network, you have to call them and tell them. And they've got an 800 number, and that number is 392-8683. Now remember, that's an 800 number, so all you have to do is dial 1-800, and that number is a toll-free call. 392-8683. If you've got a fax machine and you want to get up to date every Friday evening on what's happening, you can do it. Now, there's another place that you can do it, too. If those of you who have C-SPAN, every morning, the Speaker of the House, Newt Greenwich, has a press conference at which he discusses the bills that are coming out that day, and the press has an opportunity to ask him questions, and boy, does he field those questions nicely. Let me tell you, that man is really a fast and clear thinker. Remember, he's 2 heartbeats away from the presidency.
Well, speaking about that, let me ask you about something, and we, of course, you and I continuously talk about it on the program. Friends, the gun grabbers a lot of them are still in place, and they're coming with any bit of strategy they possibly can to try and slip some gun prohibition, anything they can, in through our legislative process.
Oh yes, and they're doing it at the state level now. They've given up on the federal level. Even Senator Feinstein, in a national television interview about a week ago, admitted they weren't going to get any gun control legislation through this Congress. They could forget about it. In West Virginia, 8 of 12 NRA-endorsed candidates running for the Charleston City Council won their primary elections. Defeated was anti-gun mayor, who proposed a number of restrictive gun control ordinances in 1993. You must always be vigilant, because they are attacking on all fronts. In California last week, the California Police Chiefs Association issued a proposal calling for the confiscation of most semi-autos, firearms registration and licensing, magazine bans, mandatory storage requirements, and destruction of firearms found to violate any of those proposals.
You know, that's outrageous. That is outrageous.
You know, reminds me of the riddle I heard about California. Now, understand, I think California's a gorgeous state, and I like it.
And we appreciate all our viewers out there.
And I've been out there, and I'm sure our California friends are as aware of this as we are. But the old story is, why is California like a granola bar?
Why?
Because when you get rid of the fruits and the nuts, you still got the flakes.
Well, and we would like to reiterate that some of our finest viewers are in California, but they have literally, and of course, we've had trouble in our own state. Every state's had trouble at state level in politics, but they really have some upper-level politicians, I say at the very top of their, Senator Feinstein's one, and some of the local areas, and I'm sure that this California Police Chiefs Association does not speak for the majority of the police officers. The majority of the police officers feel like we do about owning our firearms. They absolutely do. And that's our point again. Friends, they're after us at every level. And these people who oppose us on firearms, who want to take everything away from us that goes bang, they are very idealistic. They live in some sort of dream world. We're not exactly sure where some of these people, where their mind is.
Well, Johnny, the average policeman anywhere in the country, the fellow that's on the beat, that's on patrol, knows he can't be everywhere all the time. And the ladies know they can't be everywhere all the time. And the courts have said they don't even have a duty to protect you. I don't quite understand that, but that's what they've said. And there's another little publication. NRA has put this out. They call it NRA Grass Fire. It's a newsletter for the NRA ILA volunteers, and it's just come out. It's volume 1, number 2 is the one here in front of me, came in today. And they start off by quoting a famous quote: "I would never do anything to infringe on the right to keep and bear arms." Guess who said that? President Clinton, January 24th, 1995, this year, last month. Got another one here that is a good one, too. He said, the last Congress also passed the Brady Bill, and in the crime bill, the ban on 19 assault weapons. I don't think it's a secret to anybody in this room that several members of the last Congress who voted for it aren't here tonight because they voted for it. Well, now, we're just real glad that they've gotten the message.
Yes.
They've gotten the message. And if they vote for other gun bans, we're
home.
going to get them sent home, too. And if we have our way, we're going to cut down on some of these lavish pensions that they have, some of which vest after very short periods of time, a lot shorter than anybody that works for a living.
Well, if Clinton will just keep on doing what they're doing by like these appointments of this Dr. Foster, there's so much controversy around him, and they'll show people just how ill-suited the Clinton administration is to lead or direct anything.
Well, you know, we talk about the internet, and we talk about online services. Now, I don't know that I thoroughly understand those. I haven't played with them enough. But they have NRA ILA, that's the National Rifle Association Institute for Legislative Action, now offers 2 computerized information services which NRA members can access with their own personal computers and modems. And they tell you something here about how to do it. They've got Gun Talk, bulletin board, and really, if you join the NRA ILA Fax Network and ask them about this, they'll
Give the numbers.
they'll give you the numbers. You know, 5 of the 6 federal courts where decisions have been handed down have found Brady unconstitutional. 2 of those decisions the government has appealed. 2 of their losing decisions in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals located in the western United States. And that's an interesting place because usually, basically in the West, the people have, maybe it's because they're not living in crowded cities on the average, they just have a greater idea of individual freedoms and individual responsibilities. There's a federal court in Louisiana, in the Western District of Louisiana, Romero versus United States, that has declared Brady's background check to be an unconstitutional, unfunded mandate on the states. Now, the FBI data now proves that waiting theories don't work, and from Florida, we have Florida's Department of State's latest report just blows anti-gunners propaganda out of the water. They've issued 262,488 concealed firearms permits between October 1st of 87 and December 31st of 94. Only 18 have been revoked. That's because a permit holder is committed to crime in which a firearm was involved. That's 1 of every 14,583 permits are a microscopic 0.007 of 1%.
Just nothing. Absolutely.
So the NRA is on the offensive in these things. I don't think as much as the Gun Owners of America, but they're both good organizations. They're both organizations to support. I wouldn't think about not supporting both of them.
Well, that's really good what you said about in Florida. It's proven over and over and over again when concealed carry permits are issued. In fact, crime has gone down in Florida where it's gone up in other parts of the country. It's gone down in Florida since they started issuing these concealed carry permits. And it's obvious. And you know what, friends? The people in Washington, a lot of them know this. They don't care because they're so insecure in their positions. They just don't think that we're trustworthy as citizens to own these guns. Now, that's what they think. And it makes me angry every time I think about it. You know, we've interviewed in our investigation company over the years. We've interviewed so many people that have been hurt. We've interviewed women that have been assaulted and brutalized. And you know, who was it said Nicole Simpson might be in an entirely different. She'd have a .38 special revolver when she was attacked with that knife. Well, it might have come out entirely differently. Whoever slashed her
She
throat.
might not have been able to legally possess it in California.
Well, that may be.
Now, you know that we claim that the Waco incident and the Randy Weaver incident in Idaho were gross abuses of federal power. I have said that many, many years ago, the rallying cry was "Remember the Maine."
Remember the Alamo.
And remember the Alamo. And now, I think the cry ought to be "Remember Waco." But acknowledging that those incidents should not occur in the United States of America, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the most powerful man outside of the executive department in the United States, Speaker Greenwich, has vowed to wipe out the entire budget of any rogue agency found to have been abusing its power. That's where you can hit them. Pocketbooks.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. Friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska, the zip code 68902, their phone number, area 402-463-4589, MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923.
You know, friends, this box of Corbin ammunition and this Wesson 41 Magnum are in fact a perfect match for each other. But it doesn't matter whatever gun you may have, like this SKS or a hunting rifle or a 38 Special or a 9mm, makes no difference, because Corbin is absolutely the best factory ammunition that money can buy, period. And also, friends, when you see a box of Corbin on the shelf or you give them a call, realize that Corbin is helping keep the shooting show on the air. They've been one of our most dedicated sponsors. You cannot find finer people in the entire shooting industry. For information on Corbin ammunition, call them 1-800-626-7266. Again, 1-800-626-7266. Tell them you saw it on the shooting show.
And that's a place that it counts. Now, NRA Grass Fire this week is telling us, pull the anti-gun plug on Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They are no longer content to tell us how to get Sesame Street, but their message has been more gun control.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a simple way to take care of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting: cut off their money supply. The NRA has hundreds of NPR, National Public Radio stations, for the opportunity to respond to erroneous remarks about guns,
Mm-hmm.
and were allowed a response as required by law by only one station, just one.
So they're actually breaking the law by not letting the NRA respond, right?
Well, that's it. That's what this indicates, and they're certainly breaking all rules of fairness.
Absolutely.
And if they're using public money, then they ought to be fair.
Well, that's exactly right. I've seen a number of things on PBS that were definitely anti-gun owner, and I don't appreciate it a bit. Now, nobody wants to take off Sesame Street, but you know, a lot of these things actually make money. The public broadcasting network has, they get funds from the government, but they also get private funds. They get all kinds of grants and things from different companies. So why should we fund out of the public till there, or the public pocketbook, something that goes against us as gun owners and one of our most fundamental constitutional rights? I agree with you completely.
Well, the Environmental Protection Agency, same song, second verse. They're attempting to take jurisdiction over existing uses of lead, including spent lead shot, and that would pave the way for prohibiting lead-based ammunition. Their approach, however, is in violation of the Toxic Substances Control Act, because Congress specifically exempted ammunition from the Act's provisions.
Mm-hmm.
But gun owners aren't the only ones that the Environmental Protection Agency has its sights on. They have proposed a rule to ban lead sinking fishers, fishing sinkers,
Mm-hmm.
and of grave concern wants to ban the home casting of lead sinkers.
You know, they've gone too far. I mean, these people are nutty as fruitcakes. I mean, they have gone too far.
Well,
And it's going to take all of us who literally stay after them. See, this is something, they're like a fungus. I mean, you got to treat them all the time. They've got to be powdered down, whatever, cut off, whatever it takes, because it will grow back without attention if we let them get away with it. That's why we're in the mess we're in today, friends. Enough people have not taken note. We have not stood up for what was right, for what were, in fact, our rights, and we've let them get this far, and we cannot allow this to go on.
well, our protests have done some good,
Yes, they have.
because the Forest Service had a proposed rule out last year to ban even the carrying of guns, much less the use of them, on national forest lands. And you have to remember that that encompasses an awful lot of
yes.
territory, particularly in the western United States. Because of over 100,000 protesting letters, they have withdrawn that proposal and apparently are content to leave the situation alone. Your voice does count. Use it.
More and more often, women are faced with protecting themselves and their homes. But another way of protection is through information. Information found in the New American Magazine. And we at the Shootin' Show believe that the New American Magazine has the best information that you can possibly get.
You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE. And those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month. Friends, you need this magazine if you want to know what's going on. And in times like this, we need both of these. We need our guns, and we darn sure need our information. You know, friends, something else we do want to show you, and we will be running a test. This is a Starlight scope that goes on a rifle. This is, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, is not an inexpensive unit, but compared to what you'd have to pay for one of the surplus U.S. type Starlight scopes, it would be much, much less expensive. And these things are coming in from Russia now, and please let us know about this. If you'd like to be able to buy some of these things through the Shootin' Show, and you know we're going to have good prices on it, we're certainly going to be fair, please let us know. That's is something I think that a lot of you would really enjoy. One, for nighttime photography. This does have a camera attachment. I don't know if, I think this may be a prototype camera attachment, but we're going to ask them to make this available. So if you want to do some nighttime photography out wherever and watch to see what the animals do at night, or whatever else you'd like to look at or photograph, this is really a very neat contraption here, and that is second generation stuff. We do want to remind you that we don't know what Clinton's going to do. This, of course, is an SKS, which I think is probably the best firearms bargain that's ever been available in this country. They're 10-round fixed magazine guns. It shoots a 7.62 by 39 cartridge, which is comparable to the 30-30. These guns are still available. They went up in price. There are a good number of MAKs out there, which is the sporterized version of the AK-47. These guns are still out there, and the prices are still pretty good. There are still some magazines available for the AK-type guns. And see, we think you ought to be able, as decent Americans, you should be able to own these guns, and we don't know how long Clinton is going to allow the importation from Russia. They've already cut the Chinese imports out. They've cut the Chinese ammunition out. These guns are still available, and prices are coming back in line with what they were before the big scare that we all had. So if you'd like to have one of these, well, we certainly encourage you to look for one, because they're tremendous home defense guns. They're tremendous hunting guns, and they're also a lot of fun. You know, friends, we've had a number of requests to play our music video that we did about a year and a half ago now. We had a lot of fun doing it, but you know, the bad news is it's true. And we do appreciate all those requests. We're working on our next video, but here's our song called Down to You and Me.
I'm proud to be an American, thank God our country's strong. But some time ago, you know, it occurred to me, there's something going wrong. My granddad fought against tyranny so we could all be free. I'm afraid, my friends, his fight has passed down to you and me, down to you and me. We got people telling us what to do, don't even know our name. We're just a number on some little card, and I think that's a shame. If George and Abe could see us now, bet they'd both agree this is not exactly what they had in mind. The land of liberty, sweet land of liberty. Oh, I love to hear my Harley run. I like being free to live out my dreams, and I want to have a little fun. I want to hold on to what we got from sea to shining sea. I'm afraid, my friend, the fight has passed down to you and me. Oh, down to you and me. We got politicians and bureaucrats all telling us what to do. they don't seem at all concerned about what they put us through. They tax and spend like there's no end, throw it all away. Just keep in mind there'll come a time when nobody's left to pay. Well, nobody's left to pay. There's people that wanna lock us up just to keep us away from harm. They want a police state to give us orders that they can get us unarmed. There's folks that say they know the truth. Well, they saw it on TV. We got some boys on Capitol Hill, don't wanna have us free. Now they don't wanna have us free. Oh, I love to hear my heart run. I like being free to live out my dreams, and I wanna have a little fun. I wanna hold on to what we've got, see to shine and see. I'm afraid, my friends, the fight is past. Down to you and me. Well, down to you and me. Down, down, down to you and me. Oh, down, down, down to you and me. Down, down, down. You and me. Down to you and me. Down, down, down to you and me.
Well, friends, we hope you've enjoyed our program. So from Jennifer Hancock, our guest co-host this week, actually, and my esteemed colleague, Leroy Scott here, and myself, Johnny Rowland, our good friend and associate producer, Kurt Vickers, who could not be with us here today. We're going to have him on next week. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed our program. We look forward to seeing you on the next Shootin' Show. If you would like to advertise on the Shootin' Show, you can call us at 1-800-SAVE-YOUR-GUN. That's 1-800-728-8486. Our staff will be very happy to talk to you. Well, friends, it's happened again. We've run out of time for today's program. From Kurt, the judge, myself, we want to thank everyone for being with us for today's program, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Shootin' Show.